Hey guys, it's Shadow the Rat, and for today's video, I wanted to talk about something that's been going on with Donut here over these last few weeks. So unfortunately, Donut has been barbering, which as you can see here is basically when your animal chews their fur down to the skin. So they don't draw blood or anything like that, but they do chew it down to the skin. And you can see she's done it a little bit on this side, but mainly on this side. And I thought I'd talk about this some because, well, barbering in rats is not super uncommon. I'd say it's one of the more common benign issues because it doesn't really hurt them, but it's not ideal. And Donut ran off, but basically the reason this started, or the reason I think it started, is because when I got Meatball around 2.5 weeks ago, and as of yesterday he went to his new home, so I don't have him anymore, but when I got him, he really freaked out Pickle, which is this rat here, and Pickle got super territorial, and since she couldn't get to Meatball, whenever she was kind of feeling amped up because she could smell him but not get to him, she would go after the other rats. And Donut is a pretty submissive rat to the other rats, so she wasn't going to really squabble back. So she would basically be bullied by Pickle, which is not something that usually happens, but in this case, when Pickle was redirecting all her annoyance at Meatball being near her territory, she kind of redirected it onto her cage mates, and of course the ones that were more submissive got more of that, so Donut and Olive in particular. And yeah, I think that's kind of what kickstarted this stress response, because not only did she have a different schedule, less free range time, because, well, Meatball was an intact male, so I had to let him out at a different time than the girls, and she had part of her cage cut off because he was living above them. But she also had Pickles causing a bunch of trouble, kind of shaking up the entire group and just being a bit of a menace. So she didn't really want to be in the cage around that time. And putting her back, she would like jump out. So she just was not very happy. And it did get better over the last week, I'd say. So I would say the rats were adjusting, but still, it was a pretty rough time period for them. And as much as I liked having Meatball around, it kind of just shows you that the other rats did not think as kindly of him as I did. So unfortunately, that's been going on, and there's not too much you can do about barbering other than remove the stressor, and then if you're lucky, they will stop, and otherwise, sometimes it's already become a habit, in which case it's more difficult to get them to stop. And that's actually what happened to Sugar. When she was about a year old, I went on a long trip, and when I came back, she had barbered both her front paws and most of her hind leg, just one of her hind legs. And so it was pretty weird. I'm not quite sure exactly why she barbered the entire parts of her body like that. Nothing else was wrong with her, no parasites, nothing like that. But in the end, I kind of concluded that she was just genetically prone. She's naturally very skittish, and she's also not very good at dealing with change. So that just seemed to be what kickstarted the whole thing. And she did stop barbering to that extent. However, she didn't completely stop until she was around 2 years old. And I can't really say why that is. Maybe it's because she mellowed some. Maybe it's because she had younger cage mates who, were very easy on her compared to the other girls. But whatever it is, she did stop barbering entirely, and she no longer barbers anymore. Anyways, that's what happened with Sugar. And so hopefully in Donut's case, she will also stop barbering as much. And, ideally she'll stop entirely. However, I have found that once my rats start barbering, and I've had another rat that was Blackberry, she did some barbering, just a little bit, nothing nearly as much as Sugar, but I found that typically once they start, it can be difficult to get them to stop. So I will be just monitoring her and making sure she's doing okay. I think she's definitely feeling better now that Meatball is gone, because she is no longer unhappy about returning to the cage. And Pickles is definitely not causing the same cage issues as before, so she's a lot happier, and just everyone is happier overall. Hey, let Sugar have some cheese. Respect your elders. Anyways, I just have high hopes that Donut will stop barbering, but for now I thought I'd go ahead and kind of talk about it some, because you might notice in some future videos with her that she is a little bit bald in the arm area. But yeah, just know that Donut will have little pink paws and little pink areas around her wrists for probably the next few weeks, if she stops barbering entirely, because it does take time for their fur to grow back, especially when they kind of damage it by chewing it so close to the skin. But hopefully, if everything goes well, it will all grow back and she won't mess with it. But even if not, I'm just going to keep an eye on her to make sure that nothing else is going on and that she isn't stressed by anything else. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully this was kind of informative. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I will see you next time. Bye. No sugar. Oh, you're such a sweet girl.